Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gail Morgan welcoming you to the Libertarian Counterpoint's Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. You've heard their point, now listen to the counterpoint.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty. We're coming at you on December 22nd, 2021, just a few days before Christmas. So this is sort of our Christmas edition show, I guess. But before we get into any of that, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In our upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. My name is Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. So we're talking about Christmas, and boy, I tell you, it looks like Manchin just filled Biden's coal with a whole big lump of coal, or he filled a stocking with a whole big lump of coal. So he just really took a crap on his Build Back Better, said that that building is going nowhere on that plan, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that it was. A huge amount of cost, I guess, that was obviously a big issue, tying in a whole bunch of sort of anti-fossil fuel legislation, greenhouse gas type regulation, and just a lot of things, too, that just sort of a little bit of greenwashing, maybe, too, quite a bit of it. But Manchin, this is one of the issues. You get 50 senators and they all don't think exactly alike, even if they wear the same party label. And Manchin comes from I believe, a coal state. So, this is something that he just wasn't going to go along with. And he said pretty much just not going to support it. So you guys have any thoughts on this one?
Well, Manchin is from West Virginia, which is indeed, as you said, a coal state. And I think throughout this process, over the last 3-4 months, he have made his positions quite clear. I mean, he's truly a moderate Democrat, unlike the claims of Joe Biden, who claimed to be a moderate Democrat, and yet he's producing all this left-wing socialist garbage that he calls Build Back Better. But Manchin had made his position very clear. He didn't like the gimmicks that they were using to get the cost down to, we're talking in the trillions of dollars here, okay? But they had gotten it down to 1.75 trillion, and they used a bunch of gimmicks to get it down there. The true cost of it, really and truly, if you go by the 10-year projections, it was more like $5-something trillion. So
well, and Leon,
like the gimmicks. Told them some of the programs are meaningless. Some of them need to be mean tested. Some of them need to have work requirements. All of this thing he made very, very clear. And I have to give him a little bit of props for sticking to his guns on this. But suddenly, when he said that he can't go any further, he had been negotiating with both the White House and with Speaker Pelosi. When he said that he cannot go any further than he is where he is right now, everybody is surprised. Why? Why are you surprised? He told you what he wanted to do, what he was willing to do. But you're in a 50-50 Senate, and the Democrats thought they could ram everything through. It don't matter, they'll beat up everybody until they come around. Well, no. Manchin said no. Now everybody having this big meltdown. People talking about Manchin don't care about poor people. He don't care about people of color. He don't care about, he lied to the president, and everything under the sun they're now saying about Joe Manchin. I mean, I'm glad of the position he's taken, because all this social spending will do nothing but further destroy our economy. Our economy is trying to recover right now, but it's a bit fragile. But these left-wing people, they're going to keep on pushing they're going to try to get something out, I guess. But I think it's a very good thing what Joe Manchin is trying to do right now. I really do.
Well, Leon, I just want to jump in real quick, too. You've thrown out all those costs, and I thought, too, that early on Biden and the Democrats were trying to say this thing was free. I thought they said it paid for itself, too. So, we've just had all kinds of stories. But now I'll let you guys get back to commenting on it. I just couldn't help but throw that one out.
Well, it is free because they are just going to monetize it all through the through the central bank, the central bank is going to just create that money out of thin air. And so that's as far as the economic knowledge of your typical liberal extends. And so if it's just created out of thin air, there's no downside. It's all a self-licking ice cream cone. It's all a perpetual motion machine that just needs no input and just gives you total output. No downside whatsoever, according to because the economic brain of your typical liberal is stops right there. I mean, once the money's on the table and the central bank provides it, it doesn't cost anything. I mean, what are you silly? You think that a taxpayer is actually going to have to reach into their pocket and pay for this thing? No. Well, yes, in a way, because they're going to have massive inflation from it continuing, and who knows where that will end and how and if it will ever end up costing the currency devaluation to a point where it crashes the currency. I mean, that's what everybody that thinks beyond this monetization is worried about, including apparently, because he mentioned the debt, this Manchin guy, who I am very pleased to see is taking some of the principled heat away from Tulsi Gabbard, even though Tulsi is no longer in the government.
You couldn't help yourself, huh? You could not help yourself.
No, I had to mention Tulsi again. I know.
One of the big complaints that one of the big concerns that Manchin had was the effects of pumping all of this money into the economy, these created dollars, as Tim rightfully pointed to, of its effects on inflation. We're already going through some terrible inflationary times right now, and this will just add to the problem. And this was one of his big concerns, and I think it is a legitimate concern that he has, and the Democrats seem oblivious to it because they just want to move full steam ahead. But I hope he hold his ground, and we just could get rid of this Build Back Better nonsense.
Well, the average American that votes for a Democrat's got the same level of economic knowledge generally. Now, there's exceptions, I'm certain, but as the average Democrat who if I was serious about this and not totally sarcastic, I would say that these Democrat politicians know exactly what's potentially the downside to this, but they don't want to mention that because their constituents, even dumber than they are regarding economics, are going to vote for them because they bring home the bacon, even though the bacon does not come from a pig. The bacon comes from the central bank and at the Eccles building. And so there you have it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too. You had mentioned that Manchin was taking the heat away from Tulsi, but it is funny. There are apparently some other Democrats out there who are uneasy with this as well. From I guess the purple state Democrats, and they're I think Sinema and some of these others have. Yes. I guess said that in some ways they're kind of grateful that he's done this because then they don't have to go on record with their voters as making a decision one way or another to vote for this thing. So,
such bravery being shown.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right, Jason, because Sinema, who is from Arizona, a Democrat, she has some concerns about it, but of course she was hiding behind Joe Manchin, and also Testa of Montana, also a Democrat from Red State. He also is hiding behind Manchin, but they all have expressed concerns at some point or the other about the size and the scope of this bill.
Okay. Well, this kind of brings us up to the next subject, I think, and that's speaking of sort of mythical ideas about these mythical figures who just deliver all kinds of free goodies. Let's talk a little bit about Santa Claus. We're sort of in that time frame of the year, and with respect to Santa Claus, is he really kind of a conservative icon? Is he somebody who would give, I guess, more, reverence to conservatives, liberals, or does it really matter? I guess. And I saw this one cartoon in this article, and I thought it was kind of funny because they get along. They essentially home in on some of the things that might attract either a liberal or conservative to Santa. And so some of the liberal ideas are, okay, he gives out free stuff, so we all knew that. Aside from the fact that he dresses in red, which maybe might attract him to some of the traditional commie countries. Big red leader there, but he apparently he only works one day a year. And apparently, like lefties, I guess, they have this sort of childlike belief in his powers. I guess their children have this sort of childlike belief in his powers. Now, on the conservative side, I guess they say, okay, he's an old white man. Okay, well, whatever. I guess lefties would think that. But, he does try to decide whether or not you are deserving by making a list of whether you're naughty or nice. So he actually makes stuff instead of taking things. He really supports the coal industry by, dumping coal in all these, bad kids' stockings. And, he employs some labor up there at the North Pole, which I guess is a big deal up there. And apparently, he established his workshop in a land with no government, which should really appeal to libertarians. So, you guys have any kind of, just sort of knee-jerk reactions to Santa, Christmas, and?
Yeah, I think he established a workshop in a land with no government so he could get by with employing his skilled labor without paying them. I think. I don't know. Does he just pay them with cookies? I think Mrs. Claus just pays them with cookies. And I'm not so sure that would be a good thing because it's bad for their health and, to just eat cookies. But apparently it works.
Well, I have a real problem with Santa Claus, okay, because Santa Claus giving away free stuff, okay, and that's a big problem. That's a no-go for me, big time, because if Santa Claus can't have any concept of where that free stuff is coming from, he and I gonna have a problem. So I would tend to say liberal for Santa Claus, and even though I have, when my kids were younger, of course, he used to tell them about Santa Claus and all the things that he bring for them on Christmas Day, but they were kids, they're adults now. And I could tell them, I think Santa Claus is a damn liberal who should not be a part of our lives. But, hey, you still have to carry on the traditions, which I'm fine with. But, I don't believe there's anything as a free lunch. I don't believe there's any such thing, which Milton Friedman did express. And Santa Claus is living the dream of liberals, giving away free stuff. And he can't tell us where he get the free stuff from, but he give lots of it away.
Well, it is funny. A little bit of pushback, I guess, on both of you guys. But one on that elf issue, if he's paying these elves in cookies, but if they're responsible adults and that's sufficient to them, that's not a problem. Maybe that works for those elves too.
Yeah, I get. You're right. I mean, it's mutually beneficial exchange, apparently, unless maybe they're enslaved up there in the North Pole.
Well, this is what I was going to say. I think some of that borders on slavery, quite frankly.
Well, maybe those elves, he's keeping them from developing a union or something. I don't know.
The elf union.
Yeah. The elves, 9-10 or whatever.
Yeah. Could the elves could they just one Christmas decide, well, Santa, we're not working today? Is that allowed? Is that permitted?
Well, I don't know. And it's funny. I don't even know how many days a week or days a year those guys have to work. But another thing that was kind of funny too in the points they made is that his sled is apparently not fueled by fossil fuels, but it's fueled by magical wishful thinking, I guess. So that should appeal to the left crowd too, I think.
That's right. I guess free stuff. Here we go again. Free stuff. That's somehow or the other you can get from the North Pole to every home in the free world where Christmas is celebrated on zero energy. Zero energy. I mean, this is remarkable when you think about it. But here we go again. Free stuff. I tell you, I have a problem with Santa. I really do. And my grandson is going to be here for Christmas, and I'm going to tell him all about Santa. Oh, look what Santa brought for you. Look at really? Really? I'm going to be doing that.
If it's free and he's not taxing anybody, I think I'm probably okay with that. As long as Santa doesn't start, sending us a bill. Well, Tim, you get in the Christmas spirit. Apparently we have a Good Guys with Gun Christmas edition. So
I do. Yes, and this emanates out of Florida, where a sheriff praises a homeowner for shooting the home invader, and by saying he gave him, talking about the intruder, an early Christmas present. The sheriff said. A sheriff from Florida praised a homeowner for standing his ground and shooting an attempted home invader on Wednesday. Gotta love this guy. The homeowner did exactly what he should have, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd told WFLA TV after a man in Lakeland, Florida, shot an intruder in his home. He had a gun. He knew how to use it. It was loaded, and he shot him a lot, Judd said. He gave him an early Christmas present. Only Santa Claus gets to come in your house, and Santa Claus is invited. According to police, a homeowner says an intruder tossed a flower pot through the glass French doors of the home in an attempt to gain entry from the back porch. The homeowner then shot the intruder 3 times. Police arrived on the scene and found 42-year-old, you'd think this guy would be old enough to know better, Stephen Stillwell, shot on the living room floor. Stillwell was rushed to the hospital and was in critical but stable condition. I'm proud of our homeowner for defending himself, Judd, the sheriff, added. It's called a castle doctrine. He has the right to protect himself and his home from unknown intruders, and probably from known intruders as well. The homeowner's name has not been revealed since the sheriff's office considers him a victim. The sheriff's office says the incident is under investigation and criminal charges are pending against Stillwell, who has a lengthy criminal record. I know this is a shock to everyone, but anyway, so we'll see what happens if Stillwell survives his wounds.
So this guy is not going to get the Santa Claus defense that he was trying to deliver some gifts. I guess he's not going to get that.
Right, he was trying to take him away. I guess. Oh, you're talking about Stillwell. Yeah, you're talking about the intruder, right?
The intruder, yes. The intruder, yes.
Yeah, he was definitely not bringing; he was taking away.
Well, let's give a little love to that Sheriff Grady Judd too. We have an image of him if we could pull that up too. This is the guy who is standing up for a homeowner's right to self-defense, which in this day and age is not the most common thing, I guess. So
and I don't know, is that a picture of the basketball player? Who am I thinking of? Played center position for the Los Angeles Lakers for so long. No, that's Stillwell. I'm sorry.
That's Jack. But no, I assume that's the perpetrator in this case. But anyways, I just thought it'd be nice to give this guy a little love since he's apparently standing up for homeowners' right to self-defense. So
I have to say,
but that's an important point. This whole issue of self-defense, which people, especially the laws here in California, have really made it difficult for people to defend themselves and defend their property. And I think the Carl Rittenhouse trial was a watershed moment, and I'm glad to see Well, first of all, I'm glad that Kyle Ridgenoff got off because that was pure self-defense. And I'm glad to see law enforcement is actually highlighting cases where self-defense was used to defend life and property. I really am happy to see this. I hope we are at a turning point of where citizens, law-abiding citizens, can defend their life and their property and the life of their families from these thugs who are trying to ruin our lives.
Yeah. Well, speaking of right to self-defense and just sort of a bunch of Grinches during this Christmas season here, apparently in San Francisco now, people are literally leaving their car trunks open to avoid break-ins. It's become such a rash of these Grinches running around just breaking windows to steal stuff out of people's cars that car owners now are just getting to the point where, well, why don't I just leave everything open? And at least if they're going to steal stuff, they won't break the car too. So, this is actually becoming a thing in San Francisco. And, obviously this is just crazy land, but that's kind of where we are. You guys have any thoughts on this whole thing?
Tim, you want to go? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Leon. Go ahead.
Okay. But this is the end result. This behavior that we're seeing from the law-abiding now. This is the end result of our elected leaders accepting lawlessness within our society. Not only they are accepting lawlessness, they are trying to tell us what kind of lawlessness we should accept. When we had the summer riots, those were mostly peaceful protests. When we had a thing on Capitol Hill, that was a coup, that was an insurrection. The point of the matter is here, we are now living in a society where our elected leaders were telling us about defunding the police, when the police is a critical part of our existence here. We cannot have liberty if we don't have law and order. And these people were promoting this garbage. In San Francisco in particular, London Breed, who was one of the people out there talking about defunding the police, recently she came about with this new thing. Oh, she don't care now. We cannot have these criminals ruining our city. Well, this is what you were doing at the beginning. This is what you're doing when you're trying to defund the police. This is what all your Democratic friends were trying to do when they were trying to defund the police. Like trying to make lawlessness acceptable in society. So now our citizens are left with no choice. We can't defend ourselves because they're going to prosecute us. So now they're on the streets now, leaving their cars open so the criminals could come in and take a look and say, okay, there's nothing here to steal. This is madness in our society. And we got to turn the curve on this and turn the curve soon. Now we are hearing some of these people now trying to say, well, London Breed say, oh, now she's going to be tough on crime. Oh, now we're going to do something to stop these criminals with all this smash and grab and everything else that's going on. We have Lori Lightfoot now begging the federal government to come in now to help her with the unbelievable murder and homicide that's going on in Chicago. Even though a year ago, when Trump was president, Trump offered to go into Chicago and help Lori Lightfoot solve her crime problems. But she didn't want it because it was coming from Donald Trump. Now she's begging Joe Biden to send in some of the, I think it's ATF troops, I think she's asking for, to send in some of them to help them with the crime problem. This is a big, big problem in our society. And we better do something about it and do something about it really quick.
Yeah, I think you use the word promoting this kind of activity. And did they not enact a law that made it legal to steal a certain amount of goods, like $600?
No, it's about $950.
$950. Is that, and that was San Francisco and Los Angeles, right?
Yeah,
there's all over the state.
California. Yeah.
Is it all over California?
Yeah, I think it's less enforced, I guess, up there in San Francisco and other places like that. But we are getting close to the end of our show, so let's. This was a good segue to go right into our Knucklehead Noise Patrol, where we find someone who's saying some outlandish things. And since you're talking about Lori Lightfoot, she's our Knucklehead this week for Christmas. She's a Grinch who apparently, when all of these smash and grab robberies are happening in her city, and these, they've just like in San Francisco, they have essentially asked for this by, allowing so much of this to go on. And so you have all of these places where they are having to board up and hire extra security. I mean, look at those boards on the window. That's crazy. And so what Lori Lightfoot said was she actually is blaming the businesses for this. And so she said, we still have retailers who won't institute plans like having security officers in their stores, making sure that they've got cameras that are actually operational, locking up their merchandise at night, chaining high-end bags. These purses can be something that is attracting a lot of organized retail theft units. Well, what's your job, Lori? I thought your whole point. I mean, the government's main job is to protect people and their stuff. I just can't imagine this. And here, what is she getting paid for? To sit around and tell retailers to do a better job guarding their own stuff? Anyway, do you guys want to jump in on this? Tim, why don't you go first, because we had to cut you off.
Okay, I just want to say they're raiding Louis Vuitton stores for purses. Wow. If they were starving, again, this has been brought up before, but if they were starving, I think they would probably raid a grocery store. But no, they got to smash and grab Louis Vuitton purses out of here and go and hawk them on the internet or whatever they do, and make money that way. It's just the Wild West, I guess. I don't know. There's no word to describe it, but extremely bad. Go ahead, Leon.
London Breed said the same damn nonsense. When Walgreens started to leave San Francisco, she was saying, it was other reasons, something else why they were leaving. It had to be their profit margin or some nonsense like that, when it was clearly a security issue. Lori Lightfoot, same damn nonsense. They're not installing good security measures or any sort of thing like that. And these people will not sit down and think for 1 second that it is their policies that are causing these sort of smash and grabs to occur. And here in California, we spoke about it just a little while ago. 950, you steal less than 950? Oh, it's no big deal. You're encouraging crime. That's what's going on here. You're encouraging crime. And what do you think the criminals going to do? They may be criminals, but they're not stupid. They're going to go where the good stuff is and take it and run away. And you're going to be sitting around there looking around and smiling and wondering what's going to happen next. But the bigger problem here, is the police are arresting people, and these left-wing prosecutors are letting them go. They're putting them back on the streets. And this is a very big problem in our society.
The bigger problem, Leon, is we're out of time, and unlike Lori Lightfoot, we don't have anybody else we can blame for it. So have a great Christmas, everybody. Thanks for watching us this year, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks.
Life